are back. We are live. This is your Royal Rumble 2024 post-show review, discussion, debate, reaction, whatever you want to call it. The road to WrestleMania has officially begun this evening at Tropicana Field in St. Petersburg, Florida. And initial reactions are, we are on the road to WrestleMania, but I think we're probably in second or third gear. We are certainly not at top speed. We are certainly not to a rip-roaring start. We are off to a predictable start. Now, that's not to say that predictable isn't good, because sometimes predictable is good. Over the last sort of year or so in WWE, particularly in the Triple H era, a lot of the stories he has told have been fairly predictable at times. Doesn't make it bad or wrong by any stretch of the imagination. But I think when it comes to any Royal Rumble event, unless you've got a big marquee main event that's kind of separate from the Royal Rumble, you look towards your Rumble matches. I think if you were to say which was the better Royal Rumble match this evening, you would probably say the Women's Royal Rumble. And for the large part of that, I didn't think it was a great Rumble. In that respect, I thought the Women's Rumble started to sort of kick into gear really late on when Jade Cargill came into the match. As far as the Men's Rumble match, it was the match probably everyone was looking forward to the most, and it had a lot of different avenues that people could go in, and I think people were excited about that. Is it going to be Cody Rhodes winning it back-to-back for the first time since '98 with Steve Austin? Is it going to be CM Punk coming back, first televised match in 10 years? Is it going to be Gunther? Is it going to be a surprise? We saw no legends returning in either Rumble. We did see returns of people that had just recently re-signed with WWE in both the men's and women's match. We had an interesting sort of cross-promotional entrant in the Women's Royal Rumble. But I think your initial reaction, you can't really hide from it, is the pay-per-view was very flat. I think for all of the talk about this is, we're going back to Tropicana Field because we had a Royal Rumble inside the Tropicana Field in St. Petersburg, Florida back in 2021, but it was the Thunderdome. It was empty arena this time. We're going to have fans there. It felt like we were back in the Thunderdome, to be honest with you. The crowd was absolutely silent. Now, you get into the argument if it's sort of the chicken and egg scenario. Are the crowd silent because what's going on in front of them isn't that good? Or are the matches sucking because the crowd's not into them? Like, which way does it go, basically? Which way does it kind of go with that? I don't know, to be honest with you. CM Punk had his first televised WWE match in 10 years. It looked like, to be honest with you, he hadn't wrestled in 10 years, even though we know he has. He wrestled, obviously, Dominic Mysterio recently at a couple of live events over the holidays. And, of course, we know he's wrestled in AEW, but he looked slow. He looked sluggish. I thought he was injured at one point. I won't be surprised if it comes out that he's injured because, as you can see in that picture right there, he's holding his arm. He took a Future Shock DDT from Drew McIntyre, and he didn't look the same after that, to be honest with you. He looked very slow, very sluggish. Cody Rhodes winning the Men's Rumble. The more you think about it, the more WWE really did sort of hint that's what they were going to do. They really put a firm push on. Nobody's done it in such a long period of time. Nobody's done it in, 26 years? Since Stone Cold Steve Austin did it in 97 and 98. Nobody's won it back-to-back since then. Only 3 people have done it throughout history. Hogan, Michaels, Austin. And now they're putting Rhodes. If you're, wondering, and there's been so much rumor and speculation about Cody Rhodes, and will he finish the story? Will he face Roman Reigns at WrestleMania? Will The Rock get involved? WWE this evening has put Cody Rhodes with some incredibly established and esteemed company. They've put him up there with Hulk Hogan, Shawn Michaels, and Stone Cold Steve Austin. That is very, very rarefied air to put him in. And at the end of the Rumble, they've had Cody Rhodes point to Roman Reigns, who is sitting in the crowd, saying, "I'm going to face you at WrestleMania." So no Rock. And I think those Rock rumors have got really out of hand, to be honest with you, over the last sort of week or so. Yes, I know Dwayne Johnson's on the TKO board of directors, but to be honest with you, the moment that Netflix deal was announced this week, and it became very apparent that this time next year, you'll be able to watch WrestleMania in the United States on Peacock and then internationally on Netflix. I think it became very obvious earlier this week that because I do think it will happen, when The Rock versus Roman Reigns happens, it will be then, not now. Because as of right now, if you're going to watch WrestleMania this year, you can watch it on Peacock in the United States. Then around the world, you get into the territory of the WWE Network. Do people have it? Don't they have it? Pay-per-view, etc. This time next year, that is solved. They'll do it tonight when they'll say this is the most viewed Royal Rumble in history, because it probably will be. When it comes to WrestleMania this year, it'll be the most viewed WrestleMania in history. Next year, it absolutely will be. And as The Rock has said, if we're going to do The Rock versus Roman Reigns, he wants it to be viewed by as many people as possible. It's going to be the biggest WrestleMania of all time. So that's going to be next year. This year, it's going to be Reigns. It's going to be Cody. Cody's going to finish the story. That is the plan. It's very obvious that's what they're going to do, obviously, now that the match has happened. But the seeds were very firmly planted. But we're going to get into all of the matches, of course. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. As you can see in the bottom right-hand corner, we are currently at 16,017 subscribers, 3 away from 16,020. It's a round number. If you do subscribe and you're a new subscriber, your name should pop up here with a Royal Rumble GIF. Same when it comes to super chats as well. Be sure to click the like button whilst you're at it too. It's good for the algorithm, pushes the channel out there to all of the people on YouTube too. So, the show kicked off with the Women's Royal Rumble match. Now, as I go through my notes, you'll be able to see screen grabs from the match as always. So, this was the order of participants as well as the order of eliminations. It started off with Natalya, who was the number 1 entrant. Number 2, a returning Naomi. Yes, the former Trinity in TNA. Of course, she just recently finished up with TNA, but keep TNA on the mind because we're going to circle back to that very soon. Naomi is back in WWE as was expected. It had been widely reported that she was finishing up with TNA Wrestling, dropped the Knockouts Championship at Hard to Kill earlier on this month, wrestled her final match at the recent tapings in Florida, and now she's officially back in WWE and really took the Iron Woman's spot in this one, wrestling for I think something like 44 minutes plus, something along those lines. A really impressive showing. Out came Bayley at number 3. Next came Candice LeRae. Number 5, interestingly, was TNA contracted talent and TNA Knockouts World Champion Jordynne Grace makes an appearance in this match. And I tell you what, if you looked at Jordynne Grace as, a representative of TNA Wrestling, which I guess she is. She's a contracted TNA talent, and also she's the TNA Knockouts champion. She is the champion of the Knockouts division. She represents the TNA Knockouts. What a job she did representing the Knockouts division and representing TNA Wrestling. I thought Jordynne Grace, bear in mind, she's never been on WWE television before, and I know that people know her, like the WWE audience we've established is very different to any other audience. There's a lot of casuals in that audience. She came across as a bona fide superstar. She looked the part. I thought her work was a lot better than a lot of the people in the match as well. And I think she was one of the most standout performers, to be honest with you. And there's some pretty experienced people in this one. I thought Jordynne Grace did absolutely phenomenal. And I think if I'm WWE, I'm going to TNA and going, hey, 1, how long she got left on her contract? 2, let's work something out, because she did really, really, really well. And I think that's a credit to her. I think it's a credit to TNA. And also it goes to show, look, WWE under Triple H and Nick Khan, they're more willing to play with others. We've seen Charlie Dempsey in All Japan Pro Wrestling. We've now seen a TNA wrestler in the Women's Royal Rumble. Of course, we did see that a few years ago with Mickie James. But we saw Jordynne Grace in the Royal Rumble. And I thought, again, she came across as a huge star, fantastic star. So huge credit to her. What we did see in this Rumble in particular, but also in the Men's Rumble, but this one was really standout. This has been a problem for several years now in WWE. Who does the music? Is it Def Rebel? Some of the entrance themes, 1, are awful, and 2, nobody knows who they are. So when they play these entrance themes, it gets zero reaction from the crowd, nothing. And we saw this in both Rumbles in the sense of no WWE legends. We just got no legends in any of the Rumble. And I think, what people like when it comes to the Royal Rumble, obviously they like the NXT surprises, which we got in both. But people like to have that legendary person come and go, oh my God, I can't believe this person's come back. I can't believe this happened. We didn't get that in any Rumble. And I do think that's a part of why both of them felt flat, because there wasn't many moments to boom, like let's raise the atmosphere, let's go. There wasn't like those kind of shot in the arm adrenaline moments that you kind of expected. So out came Indy Hartwell. Asuka was at 7. Indy Hartwell was then eliminated by Bayley. First elimination of the match. Ivy Nile at 8. Katana Chance at 9. Bianca Belair came out at 10. Kairi Sane at number 11. Candice LeRae was then eliminated by Damage Control. It must be said, when Asuka and Kairi Sane came out, Bayley looked confused as to why they were in the match, which to me felt odd. Like, was that never discussed that you were going to be in the match? Out came Tegan Nox at number 12. Natalya was then eliminated by Tegan Nox. Nox was then eliminated by Bayley. This was the classic, we're tag team partners, then I turn on you. And eventually got eliminated. Number 13 was Kaden Carter. Then, this was, probably one of the best, spots of the night in terms of the Rumble matches, even though she still technically got eliminated from it. Kairi Sane got eliminated, but she did a spot where she went over the top rope, and she wasn't holding on to the rope. She went, her feet are going to touch the floor, and she was just like hanging there. And it was one of those ones where watching it, you had to like process what was happening, because it didn't compute as to, it almost looked like she was floating in midair, like her feet weren't touching the floor. I thought, has she got some kind of like magnets? Is she sticking to the LED board? Is that how she's doing it? Then eventually the camera pans out and you see she's kind of like holding the sort of rubber that sort of sticks the LED boards to the side of the ring. It was a brilliant spot. It really was a fantastic spot. She got eliminated anyway, because eventually she did drop out. And then Asuka got eliminated shortly thereafter. So the women's tag team champions get eliminated by the people they just beat for the titles on SmackDown on Friday. Chelsea Green then comes in at number 14. Jordynne Grace then got eliminated by Bianca Belair in, again, a really exceptional fashion. It was a KOD on the apron, and like I said, just to kind of wrap up on Jordynne Grace, I thought she did excellent. Really stood out in what was, for a large chunk, I thought quite a poor Rumble match, to be honest with you. It was only really down the home stretch that this one kind of got going, which is probably more to be said than the men's match, to be honest with you. But Jordynne Grace really stood out, I thought, so huge credit to her. Out came Piper Niven at 15. What I did like, and they did this in both Rumble matches, they showed constantly the times of people that had been in there the longest. So they had, for instance, Naomi's been in there for 30 minutes, and it was an accurate count at the time, which I thought was very good. I did like that. That was a nice touch by WWE. 16 was Xia Li. 17 was Zelina Vega. Maxine Dupree came at 18, and I appreciate people putting the work in. I appreciate people trying and all that kind of stuff. What we've got to do is keep the same energy. Because Maxine Dupree came in, attempted to do a head scissors, and it was awful. It was a terrible attempt at a head scissors. Now, it was on Bayley, and Bayley clearly said to her, try it again. Do it again. She did it again. It might have been worse. They were two of the worst, and then pretty much everything then she did in the match was bad and pointless, to be honest with you. And that is one of those ones where I go, that was not good. And it kind of summed the match up at that point, where it was just, there was a lot of that. For 2/3 of this match, or 3/4 really, of this match, there was a lot of stuttering and starting and kind of spots where you go, that's probably not meant to happen, or that didn't look very good. I don't know about that. It was not good. It was not a pretty watch. And the crowd, like I said, was quiet for all night, but they were at this point. Kaden Carter, that was then eliminated by Piper Niven. In came Nia Jax, who eliminated a lot of people. And this is where I to be fair, I say like the match picked up later on with Jade Cargill, and it did. But this was smart with what they did in the match. They had Nia Jax come in, and they had her eliminate a ton of people. Build her up as if to say, who's going to eliminate Nia Jax? They built to this very well. So Nia Jax comes in, eliminates Xia Li, eliminates Ivy Nile. Shotzi comes in. Maxine Dupree is eliminated by Bayley. Piper Niven was eliminated by Nia Jax. Katana Chance is eliminated by Nia Jax. So at this point, Nia Jax already eliminated 4 people. Becky Lynch then comes in. Chelsea Green is eliminated by Becky Lynch. Alba Fyre comes in. Shayna Baszler comes in. Maybe the high point, to be honest with you, of the match, genuinely, was Valhalla. Now, you'll say, Owen, if you haven't watched the show, you would say, Owen, what on earth are you talking about? How can you say Valhalla is the high point in the match? And I'll tell you exactly while Valhalla was the high point of the match. First of all, Michael Cole probably got the most animated he did throughout the entire show. Throughout the whole show, when Valhalla made her entrance. Why? Because she was wearing antlers. Michael Cole, he was freaking out. He went, is she going to wear the antlers? She hasn't been wearing the antlers in recent week. What's been going on with the antlers? She was wearing the antlers. Michael Cole, essentially had a stroke on commentary. He was that excited. Do you wear the antlers? She was like Jim Ross when Stone Cold Steve Austin would return. Okay, she's wearing the antlers. I can't believe she's wearing the antlers. This is great. So I'm already enjoying that because I'm thinking Michael Cole. It was almost like Michael Cole was acknowledging the match was flat. He was like, I'm just gonna go crazy about the antlers. So he's going nuts about Valhalla wearing the antlers, and then outruns R-Truth. And I thought this was great. I thought, and the crowd popped for that. Suddenly the crowd came alive. They were like, finally. They couldn't hear Michael Cole going crazy about the antlers, but they saw R-Truth came out, and obviously it's the R-Truth gimmick. He gets things wrong. He's the same guy that came out during the Rumble and got a ladder out because it was the Money in the Bank. He was the same person earlier today wishing everyone a happy WrestleMania day. It's the Royal Rumble run, people were telling him. So eventually R-Truth comes out and they're like, no, you're later on. That's not now. Valhalla enters the ring, gets eliminated by Nia Jax. I enjoyed that. The thing is with the Royal Rumble, and particularly if you've been watching them for long enough, throughout your life, is that they should be done in segments, and you have to create moments in a Royal Rumble. That is a moment. You can't be too formulaic. You can't just be like, go in, elimination, go in, do a nice spot, elimination. Create a moment. Do something memorable. That was memorable. And Valhalla was very upset because she blamed her elimination on R-Truth. Next comes in Michin, Mia Yim. Alba Fire is eliminated by Naomi. Zoe Stark comes in. Zelina Vega is eliminated by Shayna Baszler. Roxanne Perez came in at number 27. Now, that would be a shock unless you watched the Premium Live event from the beginning, because they showed Randy Orton arriving at Tropicana Field earlier today, right at the beginning of the show. What they didn't, and I don't know how this slipped through the cracks. I genuinely don't know, because for WWE, this is very amateur. They show Randy Orton arriving earlier today at Tropicana Field and walking, the ramp or walking the walkway inside the stadium there, and behind him, they've got Roxanne Perez's Titantron and graphics playing. Oh, there you go. Look at that. Well, she didn't have the pyro, but that's. I see. I've been doing this on the full view recently on United View about how. Do I try again? I can't. I don't know what that is, by the way, with with Max at the moment. So if I can do it again, behind him, at work. Damn. Either way, they can see the antlers from Valhalla. Where was it? Oh yeah. So Randy Orton's arriving. And you see behind him, you see Roxanne Perez's graphics and Titantron. So you go, well, I think Roxanne Perez is going to come out then. And of course she does later on in the match. So it wasn't a total surprise or anything like that. Yeah, that was weird. Shayna Baszler, she gets eliminated by Nia Jax. Mia Yim, eliminated by Nia Jax. Shotzi, eliminated by Nia Jax. So at this point, that's how many eliminations? That's like, 6 or 7? So this is when I say, business did pick up at this point. And this is why it was the better Rumble match of the evening for me. So the story has been not a lot through the Rumble in question, but they've built Nia Jax up. Who's going to stop Nia Jax? She's eliminated all these people. Out comes Jade Cargill, number 28. Now, Jade Cargill looked like a bona fide superstar. There's been a lot of question about why are WWE taking their time? Why are they waiting? What spot are they waiting for? When is it going to be the right spot? When are they going to put Jade Cargill in? This is evidence why you should wait for the perfect timing. You should wait for the perfect time. You should pick your spots and make sure the presentation is key. And the presentation was key. She got one of the biggest pops of the night. She comes in the ring. And what does she do? She eliminates the person who's been eliminating everyone. Nia Jax. She body slams her, and then she body slams her over the top rope. And suddenly, she's a superstar. Like that. Like that. She's got the look. She had the presence. She had the aura. It was excellent. Excellent presentation. Now, I don't know what that means for Jade Cargill moving forward after this match. Is she going to be now on Raw, on SmackDown? Is she going to be in NXT? I don't know. Is she going to disappear until after WrestleMania? Maybe. Maybe you keep the aura about her. I'm not sure what the best thing to do for her. But what they did with her tonight was near enough perfection. She didn't win the Rumble anyway, but they got it so right. So right with Jade Cargill. It was fantastic. Number 29 was Tiffany Stratton, and then number 30 was a returning Liv Morgan. So we got into our sort of final elimination. Zoe Stark was eliminated by the returning Liv Morgan. Roxanne Perez was eliminated by Tiffany Stratton. Becky Lynch was eliminated by Jade Cargill. One of the favorites, Becky Lynch. I mean, it felt like if it wasn't going to be Bayley that won the match, it was going to be Becky Lynch. And still think she's going to face Rhea Ripley at WrestleMania, because the shot they focused on at the end was a disappointed Becky Lynch. So I don't think she's going to be in too much trouble about her spot at WrestleMania. Excuse me. But I think that's, once again, they said Jade Cargill eliminate Becky Lynch. It's a big deal. Naomi eliminated by Jade Cargill. Then you had Bianca Belair eliminated by Bayley. Stratton eliminated by Bayley. Jade Cargill was then eliminated, but they basically had a spot where all three women had gone over the top rope. They were standing on the apron, and Liv Morgan hit Oblivion, which sent Jade Cargill to the floor, and then quickly Bayley eliminates Liv Morgan to win the match. She goes to WrestleMania. So, finish, I guess, the winner was probably the most predictable, and it's one people wanted, so I think it's the right result. I'm happy for Bayley with that. As I mentioned, for probably 2/3, actually more, probably 3/4 of the match, because Jade Cargill came in at 28, I thought the match was very flat and quite sloppy, to be honest with you, at points. But the build-up with Nia Jax and then Jade Cargill entering really ignited it. And then sort of the final 10 minutes of the Rumble I thought were really good, actually. I thought they told a really good story, a lot of drama, and the crowd were into it. They really were. So I think it was the better Rumble match of the night. I don't think it's an all-timer or a classic. I think last year's was better with Rhea Ripley. But I'm glad Bayley won, and that looks like she's going to face Io Sky at WrestleMania. So that was the Women's Rumble. Let's see what people are saying here in the chat about it. Go Blue says the crowd wanted Cody to win. The right guy won. Punk and Rollins at Mania. What else are people saying here? Silly Goose says twice, referring to the Maxine Dupree head scissors. Yeah, it was not. It was not good, was it? It wasn't. Be sure to smash the like on the like button, by the way, guys. Be sure to subscribe as well, bottom right-hand corner. Next was the Undisputed Universal Championship Fatal 4-Way match. This match was presented by Slim Jim because they're back sponsoring WWE. Now, this was an interesting one, again, because this is why this show was quite curious. Because the only sort of bits in it that were somewhat unpredictable, you're guessing who was going to win, were the two Rumble matches. The two title matches on the show, everyone knew the direction they were going in. Everyone knew Roman Reigns is going to retain, Logan Paul's going to retain. So just how do they do it? And how do they get people interested? So the story with this one was, Reigns doesn't have to get pinned. And it became quite obvious early on what's going to happen. All three challenges were going to have sort of a credible point where they should have won, or maybe they could have won, but it didn't go their way. For instance, LA Knight hits the BFT to Roman Reigns. AJ Styles falls into it, breaks it up. Styles clash to Roman Reigns. LA Knight breaks it up. Randy Orton hits an RKO to AJ Styles. It's an RKO to LA Knight. Then hits an RKO to Roman Reigns. You think, boy, he's taking everyone out and he's got Roman Reigns beat. What happens? Solo Sikoa, of course, because it wouldn't be a bloodline match without Solo Sikoa interference, obviously. So Solo Sikoa breaks it up. Samoan Spike to Orton. LA Knight. He goes to do his hip attack through the barricade. AJ moves, so Solo's taken out. Interesting, AJ Styles hits a phenomenal forearm on Reigns and stacks up Orton and LA Knight. They both kick out. AJ Styles starts using a chair on everyone, but then there's a spear by Reigns on Orton. But and then we get into the finish because Orton's been taken out at this point. LA Knight goes for a BFT again on Reigns. Reigns reverses it, shoves LA Knight into the ropes. AJ Styles was going to go for a springboard phenomenal forearm. He falls down. So this allows a spear on AJ Styles. Roman Reigns gets the pin, 1, 2, 3. As the match goes, it was fine. You know, it was fine. The fact that they put it on second kind of tells you everything you need to know. that for an Undisputed Universal Championship match, it really felt quite insignificant, to be honest with you. And I guess that's maybe where Reigns is at the moment, because we know he's not going to lose. We know he's going to hold the championship until WrestleMania at the very least, and he still might retain at WrestleMania. We don't know. So it was just a case of, who takes the pin? And it was AJ Styles, which is the right call, because shouldn't be LA Knight. He got pinned by Roman Reigns at Crown Jewel. Shouldn't be Randy Orton, because if you wanted to pin Randy Orton, then you should have just done a singles match. And they didn't, because clearly they want to protect that and they want to save that for later. So it's the right call to pin AJ. I think even though AJ's just come back, where all three challengers go from here, I don't know. I would say LA Knight probably faces Logan Paul at WrestleMania. Randy and AJ, I don't know. I genuinely don't know where they go from here, to be honest. I don't think they should face each other, because they've done that before. They faced each other at WrestleMania 35. So it's going to be interesting to see where they go from there. Like I said, the match itself was fine, but nothing too much to write home about, I think. United States Championship match. Now, as I mentioned, the title matches on the show were predictable in that everyone kind of knew what direction they were going to go in. And this one, it was quite obvious as well. The story's been about, Kevin Owens' hand, so they were going to do that somehow going into the match. But I thought the finish of this was brilliant. I really did. I thought the finish worked so well because I didn't see it coming. And I think if you're watching wrestling long enough, it takes a lot to kind of surprise you. And that's really what it did, in fairness. Which, again, doesn't really happen, I guess, that often if you've been watching wrestling long enough, to be honest with you. Because with Logan Paul, Logan Paul stomped on Kevin Owens' hand. Paul slammed it into the ring post. We even had a point where Logan Paul hit the one lucky shot. Kevin Owens kicked out. And then we thought we were going into the finish that we've seen quite a few times with Logan Paul, which is the member of the entourage, member of Paul's podcast, jumps over the barricade and gives him the brass knucks. He tries to do this, and the referee, which was the same referee that refereed his match in Saudi, was like, no, I see you this time. I know what you did last time. You're not going to do it. And he got the security to try and take him away. And then, to be honest, it turned into a bit too much for me, a bit over the top. Several members of security came out and all this kind of stuff, and he wouldn't leave. And I thought, well, you would just get rid of someone at this point. But okay, it's still going on. Out come Grayson Waller and Austin Theory, and they're getting involved in security. And Austin Theory gives Logan Paul the brass knucks. He goes to hit Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens blocks it, grabs the brass knucks off his hand, punches Logan Paul in the face, and then he goes for the cover. And you think, oh my God, Logan Paul's going to drop the championship. I thought, well, he's first defense, he's going to drop it. I can't believe they're going to do this. I thought Logan Paul would win. It's a sure thing. And the referee, and they did it so well. They went 1, 2, he's going down for the 3, and he looks up like that, and he sees on the hands is the brass knuckles. For the first time ever, I guess, the referees actually spot something. Instead of being blind to everything, they spot something. He sees the brass knuckles on the hand. He goes, damn, he probably hit him in the face. Calls a disqualification. Logan Paul retains via disqualification. After the match, Kevin Owens goes ballistic, powerbombs Logan Paul through the table. I thought the finish was really good. It protects Kevin Owens. It protects Logan Paul. I think it was the crowd bit on that, which is to say at least, because they bit on nothing really throughout the evening. And again, I thought it was a good finish, and I thought it was a decent match. Again, Logan Paul was always going to retain somehow, some way, and I wasn't against that. I wasn't against doing it that way. I thought that was pretty good stuff. And then we get into the main event, the Men's Royal Rumble. As I mentioned, there was an element of unpredictability going into this one. Who's going to win? Is it going to be Cody? Is it going to be Punk? Is it going to be Gunther? Is it going to be The Rock? Is it going to be someone else? What's going to happen? Well, let's go through it. So number 1 and number 2, Jay and Jimmy Uso. Seemingly, we're going to have that match at WrestleMania, certainly. And I guess this was a bit of a tease for it. The thing is, anything that WWE teased tonight, you can't use the crowd as a barometer of whether or not the fans are interested in it, because the crowd didn't go for anything. The crowd, it'll be interesting to know if people, watch this after the fact or whatever, and they put in the comments, no, I was in the building, it was loud, it's just a case of the acoustics in there aren't good, or they didn't mic the crowd very good, or what have you. I don't know. But the crowd just weren't into anything, really, all that much throughout the night. But by the end of this Rumble, they really didn't care. So Jey Uso and Jimmy start the match. Grayson Waller's out next. Then we have the returning Andrade. Yes, Andrade is back with WWE. We knew he was going back. Of course, he left AEW at the end of the year after the World's End pay-per-view when he lost to Miro. Tony Khan confirmed that. It was just a case of when. WWE thought the right spot was to bring him back, and it was the Royal Rumble. Some thought he was going to return as soon as the Day 1 edition of Raw. Instead, it was the Day 28 edition of the Royal Rumble. But Andrade is back. As far as which brand he's on, time will tell. He did have some interactions with Santos Escobar. Many have assumed he's going to be involved in the Latino World Order storyline. Time will tell if indeed that's the route that they go. Carmelo Hayes was in the Rumble. A good showing by him. He actually got the first elimination, eliminated Grayson Waller. Out came Shinsuke Nakamura, Santos Escobar, Karrion Kross. Actually, I'll save that because I'll talk about Karrion Kross in just a second. Karrion Kross was out. Dominic Mysterio, Carlito. Santos Escobar was then eliminated by Carlito. Out comes Bobby Lashley. Now, Bobby Lashley eliminates Carlito. He then eliminates Karrion Kross. And then out come the AOP and Paul Ellering. And this distracts Lashley and allows Karrion Kross to pull Lashley off the apron. I'm going to be honest with you. The Karrion Kross faction with Paul Ellering and AOP and just the presentation of Karrion Kross, I think it needs a lot of work. I think it needs a lot of work because it is very dry. As I mentioned, I don't know if you can use that crowd as a barometer of interest in anything, but they certainly were not interested in it as well. And it just came across as like a forced TV feud that no one really cared about that much, really, to be honest with you. It was just very flat. But then again, so was this Rumble. The Rumble was just very flat. Next came Ludwig Kaiser, Austin Theory, Finn Balor. Carmelo Hayes was then eliminated by Finn Balor. And at number 15, out comes Cody Rhodes. Of course, he was 30 last year, so he's 15 places up from last year. Andrade was then eliminated by Bronson Reed, which I thought was quite curious. I thought that, and this was kind of the case in this Rumble, is some of the eliminations you go, they got eliminated by that person. That's interesting. I didn't see that one. So I don't know if Andrade is going to feud with Bronson Reed on Raw, which I think he'd have good matches, but I was a bit surprised by that. I don't even know if Andrade is going to be on Raw. I thought he'd probably be on SmackDown. Out came Kofi Kingston. Shinsuke Nakamura was eliminated by Cody Rhodes. Ludwig Kaiser was eliminated by Kofi Kingston, which makes sense. They've been feuding on Raw. Out came next the Intercontinental Champion Gunther, who eliminated Kofi Kingston, which is, again, that surprised me because last 2 years, 2022, 2023, Kofi Kingston, has tried to do the Kofi Kingston spot, Royal Rumble spot, and he's botched it twice. So I thought, wow, he's going to try it this year, and by all accounts, it looks just to be scrapped. They just didn't do it. Kofi just got eliminated, which was quite surprising. Next, we had Ivar. Then Bron Breakker came out, who was incredibly impressive. The guy, by the way, he is so fast and so intense. It is no joke. And as I mentioned, when it comes to big eliminations, he eliminated Jimmy Uso, which to me, this is when I say that's surprising. That surprised me in the sense that Jimmy Uso set for a big match at WrestleMania, clearly, against his brother. I assumed surely Jimmy would be eliminated by his brother. Wouldn't that make sense? Because then, I mean, you don't need a catalyst for them to have the match at Mania, but that plants a seed. Like, they're never going to revisit Bron Breakker eliminating Jimmy Uso, are they? That to me just did not make any sense. And isn't Bron a heel in NXT too? So why would he be eliminating another heel? I just didn't see that, unless they just want to have like a big name that they wanted Bron Breakker to eliminate, because they did the same with Finn Balor, who's also, I guess, again, a heel, so be like, oh my gosh, look, Bron Breakker, that's incredible. But I found the Jimmy Uso elimination by Bron Breakker to be a bit strange, that one. Next, we had Omos return to television. Bronson Reed was eliminated by Omos. Ivar was then eliminated by Bron Breakker. We then had a spot where it's Pat McAfee, and they played up that Pat McAfee looked surprised, going, oh, I didn't know I'm in the match. And then he came in, and then he eliminated himself. He took a look at Bron Breakker and a look at Omos, stepped over the top rope, did a Drew Carey, and left. This is my prediction with that. We'll have to wait and see what happens. Pat McAfee made mention that he wasn't supposed to be in the Rumble match. I wouldn't be surprised if there was all this talk, wasn't there, about Brock Lesnar was scheduled for the Rumble. Then, of course, now he wasn't scheduled for the Rumble because of, obviously, the lawsuits. Even though he's not directly named in that, it's implied that it's him. I wouldn't be surprised if WWE gave Brock's spot to McAfee and said, hey, we need you just to step in, step out. Can you do that? Okay. I wouldn't be shocked with that. I wouldn't. I don't know if that's true. That's kind of my speculation on it. Amos was then eliminated by Bron Breakker. But eventually, and again, this is what's funny. So Bron Breakker's eliminated Jimmy Uso, Finn Balor, Ivar, Amos. This guy is powerful, he's strong. Eliminated by Dominic Mysterio. Which was like, why? What? Then you had JD McDonough come out. He was speared by Bron Breakker. And again, for the second time of the evening, in the second Rumble match of the evening, R-Truth gets maybe the biggest reaction. Because he got the biggest reaction by coming out in his spot again, number 24. And he thought it was a tag team match. So he wanted the hot tag. He's trying to get the hot tag to JD McDonough. And crowd loved it. Crowd loved that. Crowd loved R-Truth throughout the evening. That was about it, but they enjoyed that. JD McDonough then got eliminated by Jey Uso. The Miz came out. Damian Priest came out. R-Truth was then eliminated by Damian Priest. Damian Priest basically came out, got straight in the ring, punched R-Truth in the face and threw him out, basically saying, I'm tired of this shit. And out came CM Punk. CM Punk came into the ring, eliminated Dominic Mysterio. Ricochet then came out. The Miz was eliminated by Gunther. Drew McIntyre at 29. Jey Uso was eliminated by Gunther after nearly going the distance. Sami Zayn was number 30. It was curious because I think people thought with McIntyre being 29, then 30 would be quite a significant name. And that's not to say Sami Zayn isn't. He main evented WrestleMania last year, but that felt a bit flat as well. And then we got into the final eliminations. Ricochet was eliminated by Drew McIntyre. Damian Priest was eliminated by Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn was then eliminated by Drew McIntyre. I then put in my notes here, the crowd sucked because at this point they had just stopped cheering anything, to be honest with you. Drew McIntyre was then eliminated by Punk. And it must be said, at some point, after Punk came in, obviously, at some point, probably around just after McIntyre came in, Drew McIntyre hit a Future Shock DDT on CM Punk. And he's then started to hold his elbow and his arm around where your tricep is. Of course, we know CM Punk was out of action for 9 months with a torn tricep in AEW. And he then crawled to the corner. It was very clear he was talking to referees. There were 2 female referees there. He was talking to both of them. They were clearly communicating. And after that, Punk didn't look good. Now, there could be a variety of reasons. We'll go into that in just a second. But then down to the final 3, which is Gunther, Rhodes, and Punk. Gunther's eliminated by Cody Rhodes. We're down to Rhodes and Punk. They go back and forth a little bit. CM Punk says, I didn't wait 10 years to lose to Cody's kid. To lose to Dusty's kid, rather. And then Rhodes says something back to him, throws him over the top rope. Cody wins. When it comes to CM Punk, like I said, I wouldn't be shocked if he was hurt. The way he was moving around after that DDT, he kept holding his arm. In fact, you'll see in the pictures, as it's gone through a couple of times, he was holding his arm. I wouldn't be shocked if we hear something about that because he didn't look right after that. If he's not injured, I think he got gassed sky high because particularly down that home stretch with Cody, well, really with sort of Drew McIntyre, with Gunther, with Cody Rhodes, CM Punk was gasping for air. He looked, again, blown sky high. And to be honest with you, I thought in comparison to some of the other people in the ring, like your Drew McIntyres, like your Gunthers, like your Codys, who clearly have their wind with them and clearly are ring sharp and ring ready, he looked sort of half the speed of them, I thought at points. I'm going to be honest with you, I didn't think it was a good showing for Punk. Again, I thought he looked slow. I thought either he looked hurt or he looked gassed, or I'm not sure. He just didn't look like Punk even when he was in AEW. You know, when he was in AEW, even in his last run there, he looked pretty sharp still. But he didn't look like that this evening for me. Like, again, I don't know if that's injury. I don't know if that's just conditioning. I don't know. But I didn't think he looked good. I didn't. With Cody winning, well, I said going into the show that I was curious with Punk because I thought, look, this is a guy that has been with the company for 10 years and we know the baggage is there. Do we really think in our heart of hearts that they're going to just give CM Punk that? Was that what they're going to do? And I thought, if he does win it, like I said earlier on, if he does win it, that's really water under the bridge. Like we're here to do business. And seeing Punk's performance I think, is the right move to have Cody win, in all honesty. So yeah, I think, like I said, in retrospect, it was actually very obvious what they were going to do, because they had told us time and time again. No one's won it back-to-back since Steve Austin in 97, 98. Only 3 people have done it. They even had a graphic for it. So it was quite obvious, I think, what they were going to do. And they've set up their WrestleMania main event as well. But I didn't think the Men's Rumble was particularly great, to be honest with you. And that's quite disappointing for the stars that were in it and for the star power that it did have. I thought it was a bit of a letdown. I thought the final stretch, like I said, was really slow and really clunky. I think it felt a bit flat. And if you've got any doubts whether Cody Rhodes is the face of the company, I mean, like I said, look at the company they've put him in. The only people to ever win Rumbles back-to-back: Hulk Hogan, Shawn Michaels, Stone Cold Steve Austin, now Cody Rhodes. That's pretty, rarefied air. And it's going to be interesting to see if he does finish the story at WrestleMania, because they might view it as, well, we put him over very strong. We didn't have to have Roman Reigns lose. I think he does. I think Cody does win that story. That's the story. He came back to finish the story. He had Reigns at the first WrestleMania. He choked. In essence, he lost. And this time around, he'll do it, I think. And like I said, looking at Punk's performance, I think it probably was the right move to have Cody win. I don't know if Cody, could you imagine if Punk won that match and he was standing on the turnbuckle, like heavy breathing and all that? I don't know if that would have worked, to be honest with you. So yeah, Cody wins. Do they have to worry about the sort of over babyface, the sort of John Cena nature of it when he becomes Super Cody? Well, I've always said that, because that's what happened in AEW. That Cody was becoming Super Cody. That fan base didn't like that, and they didn't want that. And he was doing weird he was still doing the Cody Rhodes promos, which are very like abstract, strange promos. He can overact. He can be quite corny as well, but that suits WWE. I thought if there was ever a time that they would turn on Cody, I thought it would be during the Brock feud last year, because I thought to me still, the Cody Rhodes Brock Lesnar feud is some of the most nonsensical stuff I've seen in a while, because they had a feud for what? From April, May, June, July, August, for 5 months, and they still never said what the issue in question was. That was never explained. He beat Brock at Backlash. The only reason he lost in Saudi was because he passed out because his broken wrist was too bad. And then he beat him at SummerSlam. And I thought at that point, I tell you what, fans might turn, because that's pretty heavy-handed stuff. But they didn't. And if anything, I think the best thing for Cody Rhodes was this threat of The Rock looming. Because a lot of people have said, I don't want, to have Rock versus Reigns this year and Cody Rhodes not finish the story because he'll cut the legs out from him. And I think that element of sympathy and want to see it happen, I think, will benefit Cody and stop them from turning. But, yeah, like I said, in terms of the show overall, I thought it was flat. I thought the crowd wasn't very good. And the best Rumble match was the Women's Rumble match, but that was in the closing stretch. I didn't think the Men's Rumble match was all that. And as I said, in terms of a start to WrestleMania, it's a bit of a flat one, to be honest with you. Now, it can still line up to be one of the biggest and best WrestleManias. Some of the matches they've got planned: Rhodes versus Reigns again, Jimmy versus Jay, Punk versus Rollins. Although I hope by that point, if I'm WWE and Punk isn't injured, because again, I still think there's a possibility he's hurt. But if Punk isn't injured, then I'm WWE now, and I'm saying this guy has to be working live events. He has to be doing TVs. I don't know what's in his contract, but he has to be doing that, because he was gassed sky high and he did not look conditioned. So they need to fix that, because we think Seth Rollins, the guy's a machine. And we're assuming he's going to be healthy by that point at WrestleMania. He will completely destroy CM Punk if CM Punk's not ready to go by WrestleMania. I do think Punk will be Punk will be working Elimination Chamber in Perth, so we'll see how many more matches again he's going to do on WrestleMania, but on the road to WrestleMania certainly. But again, just having a look at the press conference. Obviously, they're asking questions and all that kind of stuff of him. We'll cover that, as I mentioned, in tomorrow's news video or today's news video as well. Because obviously, I think probably people were paying attention to most, even the show, was probably the press conference indeed. But there you go, guys. That's the Royal Rumble post show for you. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right hand corner. As always, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon.
Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.